Welcome to Question Bank. This is the video in which I am going to solve some of the probable questions for NLC GET exam, and here is the notice in which I have described the syllabus and let's something yes. Now this is the notification, official notification, and here the electrical post. Here is the total vacancy is 65, and now let's have the exam pattern, discuss about the exam pattern. Here this will be a computer based test and the admit card is already published, and examination is going to be happened in 17th November 2020, and here the exam will be of 2 hours and there will be totally 120 questions for 120 minutes. That means we are getting per question 1 minute. So how will be the distribution of the questions? 40 questions will be from the quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, general awareness, data interpretation, and etc. Generally 40 question is from general things, and this also includes the general English, and the 80 question, rest 80 question, that is the part 2, will be the professional knowledge. That means we are discussing about the electrical engineering questions, and this is the syllabus they have given. Look at the syllabus here. In case of circuit, electric circuit, the only two things are given, that is 3-phase circuits and power factor in AC circuit. But I don't think they will not ask the questions from the rest of the part of the electrical circuit. And another thing is here, signals and system and control systems, the terms mentioned here are also same here in the control system, that is Bode plots, root loci, and then stability analysis, PID. There is no and controller state space model. So they have not actually mentioned all the things in the syllabus correctly. So my suggestion is to prepare for the exam not by this syllabus only, include the extra parts, those are given in the syllabus, such as which are extra from the general GATE or engineering services syllabus, that is the soft computing techniques. This is not included in the GATE syllabus, so you can include this one for the preparation, but you have to include all the subjects with all the topics. Don't bound your preparation with these statements. These are not correct. I think not correct means not proper for the preparation. So let's have the first question of my probable question set. I will give totally 40 questions for electrical, and next part I will give next 40 plus 40, and if possible I will give also 40 from general part. But this 40 and 40 from electrical, 80 questions is compulsory. I will upload in next 2 days. So let's have the first question. This one is the first question. What is the correct expression for apparent power of a balanced 3-phase delta connected system? So here question label will be generally like SSC JEE or IES, that is engineering services examination. Question labels, if question label, because we don't have any previous question, we can guess, we can only speculate what type of questions may be asked. We cannot confirm about that what type of question will be asked. So as per the one question per 1 minute, I have only arranged the questions, some of the from the electrical engineering JEE, SSC JEE, RRB JEE, and then from the engineering services examinations. No question I think level up to the gate. So this is the first question and asking for the balanced three phase delta connected system and apparent power. What is the apparent power? So what is the apparent power? Apparent power is per phase apparent power is V phase into I phase, and for three phase circuit this will be 3 into V phase into I phase. So for a delta connected circuit, what will be this one? This one delta connected circuit, V phase is equal to V line, and I phase is equal to I line by root 3. This is the thing, and this will be root 3 into VL IL. So in terms of line current and voltage, this will be root 3 into VL into IL. So this is option D is the correct answer. Next question, which of the following is true for a three phase star connected system? Three phase star connected system. Which of the following is star connected system? So question is given and options are: line voltage leads phase voltage by 30 degree, line voltage lags phase voltage by 30 degree, line voltage leads phase voltage by 60 degree, and line voltage lags phase voltage by 60 degree. So here option A is the correct answer. Line voltage leads phase voltage by 30 degree. Three phase star connected system. Suppose this one is R Y B. Suppose this one, and here this one is the phase voltage V phase. This one is also V phase, and what is the line voltage? Suppose VPHR and this is VPHB. Then suppose line voltage is VRB. VRB will be VR minus, this is vector, VR minus VB, and this angle is 120, and so VR minus VB. So here VB minus VB, we can write that minus VB. Suppose this one is minus VB. So, and if we add both, then it will be like this. So this will be 30 degree, and this total will be 60 degree. So this will be, this one is VRB. So line voltage will lead phase voltage by 30 degree. This one is the phase voltage, and this will lead by 30 degree. So next question, this is a common general thing. Next question, the time constant of the network shown in the figure is. What is the time constant? Time constant for RC circuit is given by R equivalent into C equivalent. So this will be, what is R equivalent? This is R by 2 parallel connected, and C when parallel connected, this will be 2C. So this will be RC. Option C is the correct answer. Next question, what is the value of source voltage? What is the value of source voltage? Voltages across the resistance, inductance and capacitance are given, and asking for the source voltage. What is the source voltage? So this will be like this. This will be VR, that is voltage across resistance square, plus VL minus VC square, because here VL is greater than VC. This is 14 and this is 10 square root. This is the source voltage, and this will be 3 square plus 14 minus 10 whole square root over, and this will be 3 square plus 4 square, and this will be 5 volt. So here option B is the correct answer. Next question, the RMS value of the resultant current in a wire which carries a DC current of 10 ampere and a sinusoidal alternating current of peak value 20 ampere is. this is given that resultant current, RMS value of resultant current in a wire which carries a DC current of 10 and a sinusoidal alternating current of a peak 20. So for this type of question, that means the wave is like this, DC current of 10 means this is shifted by 10 and then the wave is like this, and this is 10 and this is 20. So sorry, this is not 20, this is 30, because the peak is given to be 30, peak is given to be 20, sorry, this is. So for this like question, what is the resultant RMS is given by 10 square plus this is given 20 peak, so RMS will be by root 2 square and the vector addition, so this will be 100 plus 200 root over, this is root over of 300, this will be how much? You may think that there is no calculator, how can I calculate? This is 100 into 3 root over, so root over of 100 is 10 and root over of 3 is 1.732, so this will be 17.32 ampere. So here answer B is the correct answer. Next question, question number 6. For the circuit shown below, the voltage in volt across 4 millifarad capacitor. This is similar type of question I have already done. So here Excel, suppose here this is the given resistance, here is the capacitance and here is the inductance, and source voltage is also given and frequency is 50 Hz. So here XL is the reactance, inductive reactance, and this is given by j omega L. This is j into 2 pi into 50 and L is 0.15. So this will be around 47.12 ohm. Next is XC, that is the capacitive reactance. Omega C is equal to minus j by 2 pi into 50 into 4 milli. This will be equal to minus j 0.79 ohm. So now total Z is the impedance is resistance plus j into reactance. So impedance will be 5 plus j into capacitive reactance, that is 47.12 minus, sorry, the inductive reactance minus capacitive reactance 0.79. This is coming to be 5 plus j 46.33. This is the impedance. And what is the current? Current is voltage by impedance. This is 220 volt angle 0 by 5 plus j 46.33. This is coming to be 220 angle 0 by the polar form of this one is 46.6 angle 83.84, and this is coming to be 4.72 angle minus 83.84. So VC, voltage across capacitor, is I into XC. This will be 4.72, that is the current, minus 83.84 into minus j 0.79 so this will be 3.729 angle minus 173.84. so 3.729 is the answer, voltage across voltage across 3.729. So here this one is the answer. This one is the 3.729. Here this one is B. Next question, the maximum power in the shown load is. Maximum power, the maximum power in the shown load is. What is the maximum? Here maximum power transfer theorem can be applied. So for maximum power transform theorem, the load impedance should be equal to the conjugate of the source impedance. So, and here ZL will be equal to 10 minus J20, because here 10 plus J20 is the source impedance. So this will be the conjugate 10 minus J20. So what will be the maximum power? This is not needed actually. Maximum power will be P max will be equal to V square by 4 RL. This is V square means 50 square by 4 into RL is load resistance is 10 for RL. This will be equal to 62.5. 62.5. Answer C. Next question, a series RLC circuit will have unit power factor in operating at a frequency of series RLC circuit. So this is given that unity power factor when at what frequency? Unity power factor means when XL will be XC, that will lead to the circuit to be only resistive. That is why the circuit will act as unity power factor, and that will occur only at the resonance. And what is the resonant frequency? Resonant frequency for series RLC circuit is given as 1 by root over of LC. This is the angular frequency, resonant angular frequency. And what will be the frequency? Frequency will be this much by 2 pi root over of LC. So answer here is A. Next question, the energy stored in the magnetic field at a solenoid 30 cm long and 3 cm diameter wound with 1000 tons of wire carrying current of 10 ampere. This is suppose an inductor and asking for energy stored in the inductor. So what is the formula for energy stored in the inductor? Energy is equal to half Li square, and we have to find out I is given L. What is L? We have to find out. So for the solenoid, L is given as mu 0 n square A by L. Remember this formula. This formula is very much important, and you may find in any exam this formula is asked number of times. So this one is, we can find out 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7 into n square. N is given 1000. N square into A. A is what is A? A is the area, cross section area. Area is pi d square by 4. Pi d square by 4. This will be pi into 3 centimeter diameter. This is given 3 centimeter diameter. So 3 centimeter means 0.03 by 2 whole square. So this will be equal to 7.065 into 10 to the power minus 4 meter square. So here I will put this one 7.065 into 10 to the power minus 4 by 0.3. This is the formula for L, and this will be around 2.95 into 10 to the power minus 3 Henry. 2.95 millihenry. So we will put this one here. What will be this one? Half L is 2.957 into 10 to the power minus 3 into I is 10 square. So this will be 0.15 joule. So this type of question may come. So here answer is 0.15. so here important thing is this one, mu 0 n square a by l. If some core is present in the solenoid, suppose iron core, and we have to put here the mu r, that is relative permeability. So next question is question number 10. The property of a material which opposes the production of magnetic flux in it is known as. The property of a material which opposes the production of magnetic flux, this is the reluctance. This is the reluctance, and this is analogous to the resistance. And how resistance is generally given as rho L by A. And what is the rho is the resistivity of that material. And here similarly, suppose this one reluctance is S, represented by S. Reluctance is also represented by L by A, and here the constant is here, like here is the constant is the rho, and here the constant is 1 by mu 0 mu r. Mu 0 mu r is the permeability of that material. So next question, the magnetic circuit requires 80 ampere turn to produce a certain quantity of flux in magnetic circuit. If its excitation coil has 100 turns and 5 ohm resistance, the voltage to be applied in exciting coil is dash. This is the question, and here ampere turn n is given 100 and r is given 5 ohm, and ni, that is ampere turn, is 800 ampere turn. So I will be 800 by 100, this will be 8 ampere. So for 8 ampere we have to provide V is equal to I into R. This will be 8 into 5, this is 40 volt. We need 40 volt to generate 800 ampere turn magnetic force. So next question, which is the only sure proof of testing the polarity of a magnet? Sure proof of polarity of the magnet. What is attraction and repulsion? Both attraction, repulsion, both of these. So here the correct answer is repulsion, because suppose N and N, this will repel each other. N and L will repel each other, and N and S will attract each other. So why not attraction? Because this is N and S, both will attract a magnetic material. Magnetic material suppose cobalt, nickel, iron, this will attract. But in case of repulsion, we get a constant variation. So this is the sure proof method for testing polarity of the magnet. What is the polarity of that magnet? So here the repulsion. Next question, a straight current carrying conductor and two conducting loops A and B as shown in the figure given below. What are the induced currents in the two loops? So here what are the induced current? This is asking for the direction. What are the direction of induced current? So here we can, the induced current will always oppose its cause according to the Lenz's law. So here this will be around anti-clockwise. For anti-clockwise, here the current will be induced in this direction, so that it will oppose this direction. This is the cause. So this will be in this direction, and for B this will be in this direction. So this is clockwise in B and anti-clockwise in A. So anti-clockwise in A and clockwise in B. Here we can also apply the right hand thumb rule. Right hand thumb rule. To do this, we can apply right hand thumb rule. Next question is, the magnitude of magnetic field strength H is independent of. This is option A is current only, distance only, permeability of the medium only, both current and distance. So here the answer is C, permeability of the medium. This is independent of permeability of a medium. Next question, two inductances 10 millihenry and 15 millihenry are connected in series with a source, but the orientation of the coils in such that mutual opposition occurs, not mutual adding. Mutual inductance in both in between them is 5 millihenry. Mutual inductance is 5 millihenry. What is the equivalent inductance of the whole circuit? So circuit is like this. This one is suppose first inductor and this one is the second inductor, and this is mutual opposition occurs. If mutual adding is there, then what will happen? The dot will be like this, and here the mutual opposition occurs. So here will be the dot. So this one is given 10 millihenry, and this one is given 15 millihenry, and mutual inductance is given to be 5 millihenry. For the whole circuit, the current is same. So this is connected in series. So what will be the inductance? L1 plus L2 minus 2M. So this will be 10. I am omitting the millihenry. 15 minus 2 into 5 whole millihenry. So this will be 15 millihenry. So answer is D. Next question, to double the capacitance and reduce the thickness by 50% at the same time, dielectric metal should be replaced with a new material having relative permittivity. What is the thing? Double the capacitance. Capacitance will be doubled and reduce the thickness by 50%. At the same time. So capacitance is given by C is equal to epsilon 0 epsilon r A by D. A is the area and D is the thickness or the distance between two parallel plates. Area A is the area of parallel plates, and epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space, and epsilon r is the relative permittivity of the dielectric material which is introduced into the parallel plates. So here this is the thing, and what is given here? C, suppose C is something here and capacitance is to be doubled. So I am writing C prime, suppose C prime is 2C, and thickness we have to reduce by 50%. That means 0.5 of the previous thickness. So here this is the formula, and here this will be 2 into, I am not writing here. So I am writing here the formula 2C will be equal to the epsilon naught epsilon r prime. This one is the new material having epsilon r prime, and area will be same and thickness will be half. Because thickness is reduced by 50%. So this will be, what is 2C? 2C is 2 into epsilon g naught epsilon r A by D. This is 2 into epsilon naught epsilon r prime A by D. So what is here? If we cancel 2 epsilon prime A D, everything if we cancel, then there will be epsilon r prime. So in the answer, the material should be replaced with a new material having having same permittivity, so no change of metal is required to achieve this one if we double the capacitance and thickness reduced by half. So next question is discrete time unit impulse function delta of n is equal to, discrete time unit impulse function is given by this is the answer is un minus un minus 1, option D. Why? What is delta of n? Delta of n is, suppose this is the circuit, delta of n is this much, suppose this one is 1, this is delta n. And what is u of n? U of n is here 1 1 1 1, here this is 0 1 2 3 and so on. This is u of n. And what is u n minus 1? This is u of n minus 1. This is u of n minus 1. This is here amplitude is 1 and this is 1, here this is 0, there is nothing here, 3 2 3. So when these things will be minus or subtracted from this one, only this term will be there, this thing will be, this peak will be present, and this represents the delta of n. So this is the correct answer. Next question, what is the value of signum t at t is equal to 0? This is signum function. What is a signum function? Signum function is represented by, signum function, this one is represented by 1 minus 1, and 1 is for t greater than 0 and minus 1 is for t minus smaller than 0. So the function is like this, so this is asking what is the value at t is equal to 0. At t is equal to 0 means here this is not defined. Some may say that, tell that this is 0, but this is not 0, because for both the cases 1 is present here and minus 1 is also present here. So at the same point this is not defined. Next question, this is sinc function. What is sinc of 0 is equal to dash? What is sinc function? Sinc function is, suppose sinc lambda, SINC, sinc lambda is sin pi lambda by pi lambda. This is the formula for sinc function. And when lambda tends to 0, this will be sin x by x limit x tends to 0, this form, and this will be equal to 1, this will be equal to 1. So answer here is B. So what is the waveform representation of the sinc function? This is the waveform representation. This is the waveform representation of like this. So this is 1, at 0 the value is 1, and then the shape of the waveform is sinusoidal and amplitude decreases gradually. This is the thing. At infinite this is 0, value is 0. Next question, question number 20, which of the following represents half wave symmetry? What is half wave symmetry? Half wave symmetry is this one and this one. X of t plus t by 2. T is the time period, and this is plus minus. For both plus and minus, this is half wave symmetry, and for plus and minus this is divided into the even and odd function, because they are present even half wave symmetry and odd half wave symmetry. Both are present. So this both are is the answer. Both are answer. So option D is the correct answer. Next question, x of omega is Fourier transform of x of t. Then x of minus minus 5t is how much? So this is here, this can be explained by x of at is 1 by a mod x of capital X of omega by a. This is the formula. So here what is happening here? A is here the mod of a. So what will be this one? This one will be 1 by minus 5 mod into x of omega by a. Omega by a means omega by minus 5. So this will be 1 by 5 x of minus omega by 5. So this will be 0.2, 1 by 5 is 0.2 into x of minus 0.2 omega. So here the answer will be option A. Next question, Fourier transform of cos omega naught t. What is the Fourier transform of cos omega t? Please remember, for cos and sine and e to the power omega t, what are the Fourier transforms? So here for this one, the Fourier transform is represented by this one, pi into delta of omega minus omega 0 plus delta of omega plus omega naught. This one is the answer. Next question number 23, region of convergence, that is ROC of FT and HT are R1 and R2. Then what is the ROC of FT convolution HT? So for convolution, ROCs are given by the intersection. Intersection is given by, that is R1 intersection R2. Region is a set, ROC is a set, and this is here the correct answer. Next question, inverse Z transform of Z by Z minus alpha is, this is inverse Z transform. This is given by, if I divide Z in both numerator and denominator, it will be 1 by 1 minus alpha Z inverse, and this is directly the formula of this one, alpha to the power n u of n. Alpha to the power n has the Z transform, this one. So this is the correct answer. Next question, what is a load at which maximum efficiency occurs in case of a 100 kVA transformer with load loss of 1 kilowatt and full load copper loss of 2 kilowatt? This is the question. And for maximum efficiency, I have already done some problem like this in my daily MCQ. For maximum efficiency, copper loss will be equal to iron loss. So let at x of a full load, x is the fraction of a full load, maximum efficiency occurs. So then at x of full load, what will the copper loss? Copper loss will be x square into copper loss at full load. This is the main thing to be remembered, and this will be x square into 2 kilowatt. Copper loss is given 2 kilowatt here copper loss is given, full load copper loss is given 2 kilowatt. So this is 2k, I am writing 2 kilowatt. So here what is happening? So for x square for maximum efficiency, copper loss, for maximum efficiency copper loss will be equal to iron loss. So x square into 2 kilowatt will be equal to 1 kilowatt. What is 1 kilowatt? 1 kilowatt is the iron loss. So this will be x square will be equal to half, and x will be equal to 1 by root 2, which is equal to 0.707. and this is x is 0.707, and what percentage is this one is 70.7%, at which maximum efficiency will occur. So option B is the correct answer. Next question, in which transformer the tertiary winding is used? Tertiary winding is used in case of star-star transformer. So next question is question number 27. This is the use of higher flux density in the transformer design. Higher flux density in transformer design, option A reduces the weight per kVA, option B increases weight per kVA, option C has no relation with the weight of transformer, option D none of the above. So this is, you know that B is equal to phi by A. To maintain the flux, because flux plays an important role in case of transformer design, so maintain the flux constant. If B will increase, flux density will increase, higher flux density is given, flux density will increase, A should be decreased. So this will reduce the weight per kVA, Next question, which motor has the poorest speed control? Which of the has poorest speed control? This is option D, series. So better speed control means low difference between no load and full load speed. If difference is very low in case of no load speed and full load speed, that is called better speed regulation or better speed control. So in case of series motor, this gives the poorest speed control. Next question, if current in the armature of DC series motor is reduced by 50%, the torque of the motor will become how much? This is, in case of series motor, torque is directly proportional to flux into armature current, and in case of series motor, flux is directly proportional to armature current, because the field is connected in series with the armature, so the current will be dependent. So here I can write that torque is directly proportional to Ia square, and so here T1 by T2 will be equal to Ia1 square by Ia2 square. So this will be equal to Ia1 square by, here given that DC system armature current will be reduced by 50%, so this will be 0.5 of Ia1 square, so this will be 1 by 0.25. so T2 will be equal to 0.25 of T1. So the answer will be 25% of previous value, option B. Next question, in case of DC shunt motor, the regenerative braking is employed when the load is dash, has, option A has an overhauling characteristic, option B is variable, option C is constant, option D is also act as braking force. So this is, answer is has overhauling characteristic. Overhauling characteristic means the back EMF generated, that is suppose E is greater than the power supplied to the motor. Power supplied suppose V, this is called overhauling characteristic. So this is used in case of regenerative braking. Option A is the correct answer. Next question number 31. In a 3-phase induction motor, the mechanical power developed in terms of air gap power Pg is. What is the air gap power? Air gap power is the power input to the rotor. Pg is the air gap power. Air gap power is the power input to rotor. And what is the rotor loss? Rotor loss is given by Pg into slip. So what is the remaining part? Remaining part is the gross mechanical power developed. Gross mechanical power developed, Pgmd. So this is equal to 1 minus S of Pg. That is the air gap power. So here answer is mechanical power developed is 1 minus S into Pg. Next question, in static voltage of a squirrel cage induction motor is reduced to 50% of its rated value. The torque developed is reduced by how many percentage? Torque reduced by how many percentage of a full load value? So this is the question. In case of squirrel cage induction motor, the torque is directly proportional to voltage square. So here T1 by T2 will be equal to V1 by V2 whole square. So here the voltage is reduced by 50%. Voltage is reduced by 50%. So this can be written as V1 by 0.5 of V1 whole square. This will be equal to 1 by 0.25. So T2 will be 0.5 T1, and how much this is reduced? T2 is reduced by 75%. This is 25% T1, so reduced by 75%. So here option D is the correct answer. Next question is induction generator is more suitable for supplying. Option A resistive load, option B inductive load, option C capacitive load, option D a combination of resistive, inductive and capacitive load. So this is the answer is option C capacitive load, because an induction generator is always operated in line, because it draws reactive power from the line. It requires reactive power to be in the running condition. So in capacitive load, the load will provide reactive power to the induction generator. In case of induction motor, this does not draw reactive power, but in case of induction generator, this draws reactive power to be in the running condition for the magnetization of the circuit. Find the frequency of rotor induced EMF of a 3-phase 440 volt 50 Hz induction motor having slip of 10%. This is the question, and here the frequency of rotor induced EMF is given by S, that is the slip into supply frequency, which is equal to, slip is here given 10%. 10% means 0.1 into supply frequency is 50%, 50 Hz. So here answer will be 5 Hz, option C. Next question, an alternator is supplying a load of 300 kilowatt at a power factor of 0.6 lagging. If the power factor is raised to unity, how many more kilowatt can alternator supply? So here supplying a load 300 kilowatt at power factor of 0.6, that means I am writing here Vi cos phi is equal to 300 kilowatt, and Vi will be 300 kilowatt by power factor is cos phi, which will be equal to 300 by 0.6. This will be equal to 500 kilowatt. for unity power factor this will be VI into power factor is 1. So this will be 5, not this is kilowatt, this is kilo volt ampere kVA. So this will be 500 kilowatt. So how much extra kilowatt this can be provide? This can provide, this is 200 kilowatt. Next question, if an alternator is operating at unity power factor, then its terminal voltage is operating at unity power factor. At unity power factor, its terminal voltage is option A equal to the induced EMF with 0 voltage regulation, option B less than the induced EMF with negative voltage regulation, option C less than the induced EMF with positive voltage regulation, option D greater than the induced EMF with negative voltage regulation. So here the voltage regulation and power factor plot, this is the very important plot. This is very important plot. This is the voltage regulation y-axis and x-axis is the power factor. This is unity power factor. Origin here, origin is the unit power factor. This one is the lagging. This one is the leading. This one is the leading. So here, this one is suppose ZPF lag. This one is ZPF lead. 0 power factor leading. So for this plot, look at the question. Question is given, if the operating at unity power factor, then its terminal voltage is. First thing, what is unity power factor? At unity power factor, voltage regulation is positive, not negative. First thing is positive. So here option which here is 0 voltage regulation, not the answer. Here is the positive voltage regulation. So answer is option C, positive voltage regulation. What is means positive voltage regulation? Voltage regulation is given by the excited EMF minus generator or terminal EMF by the terminal EMF. This is the voltage regulation, and here this is positive means this one is positive. This one is positive means Vt is less. Vt is less. So here the terminal voltage is less than the induced EMF. So next question, a single phase motor is made self-starting by the addition of an dash. This is starter winding. This is starting winding. Option B. Next question, question number 38. The voltage regulation of a transformer having copper loss of 1% and output, copper loss 1% of output and percentage of reactance drop is 5% and power factor is 0.9. Lagging is. This one is here copper loss is given 1%. That means copper loss 1% of output means percentage is equal to the copper loss of the output is equal to the percentage resistance of that transformer. So percentage R is given to be 5%. Sorry, the 1%. 1% means 0.1. Sorry, 0.01. And here the percentage reactance means percentage X is given 0.05. So percentage voltage regulation is equal to percentage R into cos phi, that is the power factor, plus percentage X into sin phi. This is the formula, and here this will be 0.01 into 100 into 100. So 0.01 into power factor is given 0.9 plus percentage X is 0.05 into sin phi will be 1 minus cos phi root over. This will be 1 minus 0.9 square root over, and this will be equal to 0.436. 0.436 into 100. This will be equal to finally 3.08%. 3.08%. So here the answer is option number A. Option A. Next question, question number 39. The temperature is far away from my home. Here far is a linguistic variable and this can be represented by, this is fuzzy logic. Fuzzy logic said, because fuzzy logic can be used to represent the linguistic variables, not the binary variable. This is the linguistic variable. Next question is, which of the approximation is used on Boltzmann's law for practical implementation? Boltzmann's law for practical implementation is used for mean field approximation. Mean field approximation. These are two questions from the last two parts of the syllabus. This is from this part of the syllabus. Fuzzy logic, soft computing techniques. So I have distributed the questions equally from each part according to their statements. So I will upload the next part having similarly 40 questions from electrical engineering. For this exam GET, of which is going to be conducted in 17th November. So thank you for watching up to here.